the investor from Finland. And the second speaker will be Professor Ekman. Let me introduce Ambassador Heimonen and Professor Ekman in Korean. 그 헤이모넨 대사님은 주로 핀란드의 외교부에서 활동을 계속 해오고 계시고요. 1984년에 로바니에미에서 이 외교부 일을 시작하셨습니다. 로바니에미는 여러분이 잘 아시는 산타클로스가 사는 동네입니다. So you know, Rovaniemi is famous for the Santa Claus village. 그리고 이제 그 다음부터 여러 그 외교부에 일을 하셨고요. 최근에는 2001년도에는 동경에서 영사를 하시고 2004년도부터는 어딘가요? 2008년도부터는 샹하이에서 영사 업무를 하시고 2012년부터 저희 나라에서 핀란드 대사로 계십니다. 에크만 교수님도 1956년에 출생하셨고 주로 하시는 거는 미케니컬 엔지니어링을 하셨고 1984년에 미케니컬 디자인 엔지니어로 시작을 하셔가지고서 주로 그 헬싱키 유니버시티 오브 테크놀로지라고 하는 핀란드에서 제일 제일 경쟁력이 있는 그런 공대 교수로서 하셨고 거기에 기계공학과의 부학과장 그 다음에 그 공대의 부총장까지 하셨습니다. 그리고 이제 이 헬싱키 유니버시티 테크놀로지가 다른 대학교와 합쳐가지고서 알토 유니버시티가 됐어요. 그 알토 유니버시티에서 그 디자인 팩토리라고 하는 아마 이 그 설계를 그 처음 개념부터 시작을 해가지고서 프로덕션을 만들어내고 그다음 사업화하는 그런 일관적인 그 교육 시스템으로서는 세계적으로 아마 가장 경쟁력이 있는 그런 시스템인 것 같습니다. 거기에 디렉터로 계십니다. So I have introduced Professor Ekman as a director of the Design Factory, and this Design Factory is maybe the most competitive institution to combine all from the design concept to the production, and also to start a kind of small company. And is that right? Okay. 그러면은 먼저 그 헤이모넨 대사님한테 강의를 초청하겠습니다. So Ambassador Heimonen, you can start.
안녕하세요. I'm very happy to be here. Can you hear me? Yes. Very happy to be here in Dezon and especially KAIST, because I know that this is one of the most important institutes in this field, not only in Korea but in the whole world. And thank you very much for the invitation to here. My role as Ambassador of Finland is just to warm up Professor Ekman, who is the real expert in this field. So I will take only a few minutes to introduce him, because he is so shy and humble person that he's not. I have some slides here, and maybe this is also a good opportunity to remind you that the Korean Prime Minister visited Design Factory last October when he visited Finland. So he was also very impressed about the visit. Here is the president of Aalto University receiving here. Just not touching very much about the engineering education in Finland, but to give the basis, there are two kind of institutions that are educating engineering and engineers. first universities and second the University of Applied Sciences that are also called polytechnics. And but Mr. Professor Ekman will explain you more about the structure itself. All in all, what you need is experience, and that is they are also trying to create in Aalto University and Design Factory. We in Finland and Korea we have very much in common, and one common thing is history. We both countries we have started from a rather low level of in a way development after the war. We also after the war Finland was rather poor country, but like Korea, our economic development was after that very fast. And here the education in Finland that has been the main thing, creating the basis for the economic development in general. And like in Korea, you know, these PISA surveys recently, Korea has succeeded very well. Finland has been from the beginning of surveys also on the top, and now it's still in Europe. It's still leading country when it goes to the survey and students. These students are Professor Ekman can see that they must be engineering students. Looks like, at least. And in Finland, the education is free for all, even at the university level. But the education system will never be ready. And I wonder, this must be from Design Factory? Yes. Okay. So this is the atmosphere you can find there. The students that I have seen, they are very enthusiastic and eager to learn and study. And here again, the visit of Korean Prime Minister to Aalto University, and also there's an institution called Startup Sauna. It means a kind of program for really the new startup companies. Also, it's partly organized within the university, and that is why Professor Ekman can explain maybe better. But here the startup creation of startup companies is one strong element in the university as well. When I was before Seoul, I was in Shanghai, and Aalto University created a design factory there. So I was very happy to be part of this development, at least seeing how it has been successful. And there are some Finnish startup companies like Rovio, which is behind the Angry Birds. Somebody has heard about Angry Birds, maybe? So it comes from Finland, and not long time ago it was really a small startup company. And here I can see also myself behind the president of Aalto University. It means that also as a diplomat we have to work hard when it goes to university life. Design Factory in Finland, again Professor Ekman can explain more what is it all about, but I'm just giving you some examples, and if you like to know more about this Startup Sauna program, you can just Google and find. This is from Facebook, but it's very successful program, and one result from this program is annual gathering of startup companies called Slush every year in.
Actually has more likes than Aalto University.
Okay. And here it was mentioned the design, and you know, after Seoul, the following design capital of the world was Helsinki, 2012, and it is really, design is meaning a lot to Finnish people, and we see that design is part of our everyday life. You can see it everywhere. So I don't know if somebody has heard about Linux system. It has been created by one Finnish student at that time. He was Helsinki University student, Linus Torvalds. And so even you, as a young student, you can create many things and then become world famous in certain fields. So these must be definitely students from Aalto University. Yes, finally, to give the floor to Professor Ekman, I would like to finish, and I think we will be both ready for any questions, but now it might be time to give the floor to you so that you can really speak substance. Kamsahamnida. Okay, yes. Shall I give it to him?
This is my third day in Korea, so my language skills are a bit limited, but maybe I can teach you some words of Finnish. So, hyvää päivää. Nice to meet you all, guys. And this is the title of my presentation. We tried to take some time also for your questions after this. So I tried to keep this in 30 minutes. And yeah, I should be talking about engineering education. So what is engineering? These guys, they are my students many, many years back. And I have heard several times my colleagues saying that this is not kind of pictures that you should show about university education of mechanical engineers. It gives completely false picture about that. Maybe so. The university education of engineers is often not like that in the picture. But on the other hand, think about those guys. If I should explain about elastohydrodynamic lubrication theory, if they don't understand what is a force fit, what is a bore bearing, what kind of tools are needed, and what does a surface roughness actually mean, isn't it difficult? And another thing, just look at those guys, how happy they are. But that's only mechanical engineering. Engineering is also about electronics, automation, embedded systems. It's about computer-aided design, material-added manufacturing technologies, and also the traditional manufacturing technologies. And this is one part of the philosophy of the design factory, that we should have all of those available, and close distance to machine shop, to the electro shop, to the paint shop, to the model making shop, in addition to the lecture halls and seminar rooms, is something that is needed to support the learning. Testing, you know, sometimes the Finnish climate must be not can be not the most welcoming for outdoor testing. but this smoking wood-burning stove is hard to test indoors, so you must just go for that. And why do we do testing? Why do we underline the importance of testing? Well, of course, because it will bring up all the flaws and mistakes that has been made in the designs. Again, look at those guys. At this point, after 12 hours of working, it's still the machine does not still work. So that is something that we call in Finnish language the sisu. Never give up. So just go for it as long it works. So this is one of the, or this is the only goal we have in mind. It's our wish to educate the best product designers in the world. Well, it's not too humble, and maybe some of you may think that is this realistic at all? Looking back to the history, I have some evidence to show. As a result of one of the student exercise, this is the final outcome. A mobile fire scene investigation simulator for training of the firefighter, police, insurance detectives, all authorities who have the responsibility to search for the cause of fire on the fire scene. The end product is a 14 meters long semi-trailer truck, and it's still operated by the Finnish Emergency Services College in Kuopio town. So this was a student project. They started with the assignment and with the budget of 10,000 euros, and they ended up with something that was worth of 300,000 euros and is still in use after many years. And actually, for this exercise, they were awarded by something that is called the Project of the Year in Finland. So for me, this is one of the most beautiful examples that if you just give some free hands and authority for the students, there's no limit how far they can go. Another example, this is my former student Mika, who got the Marcus Wallenberg Award, often called as the Nobel Prize in paper making. Or another student from the design factory, Maija Itkonen, was chosen as the Innovation Leader in Finland 2011, and her company and the product was this first working product for wireless charging of mobile devices. And it's not only about the gadget. This all has led to the development of technology, so that, as you may know, the most modern phones, they have this feature inbuilt, so you don't need this charging receiver anymore. And they have been part of developing of the industrial standard for wireless charging, and actually the company joined an American wireless charging company, PowerMat. So now together they are the biggest player in the market. And it all started as a student exercise for developing the first prototype for this technology. Some of our alumni with their spin-off company, they just recently won the Safety Award of the Year in Sweden. And in this picture, you see the mayor from Shanghai visiting Design Factory. And does anyone have any idea what is this nice blue cube in the middle. It has the brand name Catchbox. Well, it's actually the first throwable wireless microphone in the world. As you know, the wireless microphones that are normally used in this kind of situation, they are a bit bulky and it takes some time to forward it to the gentleman there on the back row. But if I just had the catchbox here, I would just throw it, and no matter how well I manage to throw, it just makes the situation a bit more relaxed and fun. You should see how it works. It's really amazing. A simple thing. And this is the latest startup company founded by these two gentlemen at the back, both still students of Aalto University. They noticed that there is a huge problem on the building sites with the dust. The workers, they are mixing all kind of plasters and glues with the powder water with an electric mixer. And the dust comes up, and when you inhale, it's no good for the health in long term. And it's also very costly because a lot of cleaning must be done because of the dust. So with this device, they can catch 99.1% of the dust, filtrate it, and the first prototypes, approximately 10 of them, are now in test use by most of the major building companies in Finland. So I should bring some greetings to them that they should also try to sell some of those to the POSCO companies. But this old painting describing university education some 650 years back, it's actually quite nice because it always reminds me that the biggest thing that has changed in this 650 years in the lecture halls is actually the thing that we professors, we don't have those nice ivory towers anymore. Otherwise, the concept is more or less the same. And if we speak about engineering education, design education, or business education, well, the classroom is fine, but in my opinion, it's not enough. We need to have something else as well. I don't know how many of you are followers for this SlideShare website, but there is interesting stuff available. And one of my favorite slides are these citing Richard Riley's comments years back that all the universities, do they know it, do they realize it or not, they are developing students for jobs that do not exist by using technology that has not been invented yet. So those guys who are at the high school now, we know for sure that they should be in the business life still 2070 or 2075, and there are quite a lot of uncertainties ahead of us. So many things that we can't know for sure, but maybe there is something that we also are able to forecast. The definition of the design factory of Aalto University is that it is an experimental co-creation platform for all of these three: education, research, and application of product design. And from all the disciplines in the world, maybe product design is the most interdisciplinary by nature. All the products integrated services and business concepts. They have become more and more complex in most cases, including mechanics, electronics, software, mechatronics, and combined immaterial services or applications in website and so forth. So if you compare this auditorium setup or the lecture setup to a quite typical setup at the design factory, maybe you can see some difference, a bit more flexibility in the setups, and also if you watch what time it is, it's 2:45 a.m. But that is Shanghai time, and this picture is taken in Helsinki, so it's not that bad. But still, it's 8:45 p.m. So it's not restricted or limited by the office hours. When there is a need, there is an access, and sometimes also the late nights or weekends are used for something meaningful. Well, this is quite a typical desk of engineering education. Actually, these two guys, they are not sitting in Aalto University or Design Factory. The picture is taken at the Particle Physics Research Center, CERN, in Switzerland. And what those guys are trying to do to develop some practical applications based on the technologies developed at CERN for particle physics purposes. But the question was that how could these technologies be applied for everyday applications? And the most obvious way of thinking is, okay, if it's good for particle physics, maybe it's good for something space applications or medical purposes in hospitals. But what the students actually came up was a solution that will help autistic children to come over the barriers of social interaction. Something quite unexpected. At the Design Factory, in the educational activities, whatever they are, first of all, they are not limited only for engineering students. The interdisciplinary interaction includes also the parties from design faculty or the School of Business. But these are the priorities that we try to keep in mind in everyday life. In decreasing order, the first one is to have fun, the second one to learn something new every day, and the third one to work like crazy. Which order do you follow? Which is the first priority in Korea? Is it the same? Well, I have heard some people saying that it's the third one. That's also good, but maybe not for long term. So please take my advice and think about it. Another very important thing is that we have always the student as the most important person. The most important person of Aalto University, it's not the president, it's not any of the deans, it's not any of the professors. The most important person is the student of Aalto University. Let me show some practical facts about my own course. I'm teaching a course called Product Development Project, So it's a quite long learning project, starting always in September, and it ends in the middle of May. So it's more or less the whole academic year as length. We are doing quite a lot of work, or the students, coaches, helpers. We are using quite a lot of external funds that comes from companies, the sponsors. A lot of traveling is needed because we have students in various distant locations in India, China, Australia, United States, Germany, Sweden, and maybe in Korea for the next round as well. In our small machine shop, during this 9 months of time, 2,200 CNC machining hours taking place. We only have one milling machine and one CNC turning bench. And the series size, in most cases, it's only one. So maybe this gives you some picture about the utilization rate of the facilities. And for those who do not know, I can tell that Finland proudly is the nation #1 in coffee consumption per capita. And Design Factory has an important role in keeping that position. So that's the fuel of innovation. And well, as I mentioned in the beginning, engineering can be mechanical, electrical, software, chemical, civil engineering, space, naval architecture, whatever. And I'm not worried about that. I believe that most of the universities, they are good in theoretical studies and how to coach students to adapt knowledge from books or literal sources or going through theoretical exercises. But these kind of abilities or skills are much more interesting from my perspective. How to better understand the occupational safety issues, the cost of development, the cost of manufacturing, and the business perspectives in a wider scale, to understand the different approaches to prototyping and testing, and the communication. If I should pick only one word that best will forecast the failure or success in any project where you have several parties involved, my choice would be communication. Good communication normally always will lead to sort of good results, and bad communication, it's really hard to come over. So what does this mean in practice? Well, there are many things that you can't just handle on computer screen or on paper or in theory. There are many things that you must live through by yourself. Some ideas can be tested already in the early phase. The students, they were actually asked to develop some techniques. How could we keep a patient still when he or she is in an MRI imaging process? The better you stand still, the better the quality of the image. And one idea was that maybe we could use sort of a vacuum force and an elastic foil that will nail you down against a firm plate. And here's the first quick and dirty prototype. It took only maybe 2 hours to build it and use a normal vacuum cleaner for producing of the force, and I can tell you it was really efficient. I was also one of the guinea pigs for the testing. And this is something that makes also the professor's life very interesting nowadays. Every now and then when you need to explain to the accounting office that it was really necessary to buy this silicone linen from a sex shop. Anything that relates to ergonomy and variety of different kind of people, my rough estimate is that the Korean people, they are still less tall than the Dutch people, or not that big as American people. So there are such differences, and then the age, sex, and many other issues that the product developers must keep in mind when developing solutions for anything. And for some reason, one of the most difficult bottlenecks in product developers or engineers or designers' mind seems to be the early testing of ideas by potential users. I don't know why, but it seems to be really difficult to go with your unpolished plans to someone and ask for their opinion. Yes, I will, but a bit later. But you should go for that as early as possible. One very efficient way of learning is also this asking help from a more experienced expert. But sometimes it's not enough what we have at school. So you must leave your university, you must leave your institute and go somewhere where you can meet the ship simulator, or if you are developing solutions for improving hunting safety, it's better to start with the hunting experience, or at least with the shooting experience on the shooting track. The engineering can be very tough at some times, but the life is often very deadline driven. So the last nights, they are always important in order to get something finished. And as was already commented in Ambassador's opening speech, there can be an unexpected moment that someone will come and curiously asking questions about your ongoing project. Maybe you don't know these two gentlemen in the middle, but they are the Finnish and Swiss presidents who just paid a visit to Design Factory last week and had wonderful chat with the students. As a study environment, the Design Factory that we have it's quite flexible. We don't have this kind of auditorium where all the chairs are bolted to the floor. Instead, we have this kind of big hall that is so big that you can even drive in cars or trucks or vehicles, but mostly it's used for lectures, seminars, exhibitions, that kind of events. Or you can change the whole Design Factory for a casino for one night if you want to test new ideas for hardware or software gaming with different kind of people. And one additional viewpoint to engineering is what you see in this picture. So it's very typical team meeting in our student project, so that we are having one guy in Australia, these two in Russia, two ladies in Sweden, and the project manager here in Finland. So this this is part of the reality these days, and it's better to face these kind of issues already when you study. For instance, the time difference between Finland and Australia is 9 hours, so it makes it a bit challenging to find proper times for such team meetings. Well, the engineering discipline is not best known as its high adaptability for emotional or such soft issues. The text in this picture is in Finnish, but I can explain what's going on here. It's a supermarket or shopping mall cashier. And are you familiar with the concept of a fast lane cashier? If you have a limited number of items, you can choose the fast lane just to proceed through faster. Well, this is the opposite. This is a slow lane. You can choose this if you are not in a hurry, if you feel that you want to chat with the lady, have a cup of coffee, or sit on the sofa and so forth. The idea actually came from the Disabled People's Association in our town, who often felt a bit inconvenience when shopping because of the pressure of the queue, and because they were not able to proceed as efficiently as the healthy, normal people do. And the idea was introduced to the shop owner. This is the biggest shopping mall in our town. And the owner said, well, this is really crazy. Let's try. Let's make it for 2 months. And ever since, it has been so successful that already 3 years have passed, and it's still the most popular cashier line in the shopping mall. Well, I have been telling quite much about the design factory approach in engineering, design and business in Finland, but let me also add that we already have some other design factories in other locations in Shanghai, in Melbourne, Santiago in Chile, and CERN, Geneva in Switzerland. And who knows, it may come a time even soon that you will have one design factory also in Korea, but that is too early to confirm at this point. Yeah, that was the last slide.